Impulse's victorious jungler.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast on the day. I am joined by Rush here on stage, victorious after winning their game. Fantastic play all around, and also joined by Sunny as well for translation. Rush, the last 12 of your 13 games are wins. The second half of the split was amazing for you guys. What was the preparation like coming into quarterfinals?
러시 선수 일단 축하드리고요. 이번에 이제 마지막 13개 경기 중에 12개를 정말 파죽지세로 이기셨는데 어떻게 이번 8강 준비하셨는지 조금 설명해 주세요.
사실 준비할 때 이번 패치 사실 룬글레이브가 엄청 핫했잖아요. 그래서 룬글레이브 챔피언 위주로 많이 연습했어요. 왜냐면 저번 플레이오프 때 제가 제뿔과인 메타를 많이 못 따라가서 고생했었는데 이번에는 룬글레이브를 살 수 있는 챔피언 위주로 연습을 했어요.
그 저번 때 있었던 아이템이 뭐예요?
저번에 플레이오프 했을 때 신더르크가 약간 제가 잘 못 써서.
네. So Runeglaive items were generally really hot this meta. So I prepared a lot of champions that could use Runeglaive items. Last split I couldn't really use champions that took advantage of the Cinderhulk buff, but this split I was able to do that.
Well, you did it fantastically. Everyone saw that was your kind of weak point, but you played those champions very well this split. My second question, Rush, Gate came in very late into the season. How is the team doing now, and do you guys still have the potential to take Gate and the team all the way to Worlds?
게이 선수가 조금 늦게 팀에 조인했잖아요. 그런데 그 게이 선수가 잘 하고 있는지 또 그 롤드컵에 가는 거에 대해서 어떻게 전망하고 계시는지.
사실 게이트가 어떻게 보면 신인이니까 경험이 없어서 보이스를 쓰면서 하는 게임에 되게 약해요. 그러니까 자기가 집중을 못하는 문제가 있는데 스크림에서 그런 문제가 발견될 때마다 하나하나씩 고치다 보니까 오늘 이렇게 3대0으로 이길 수 있었고 앞으로도 더 잘해질 거라고 생각해요.
So he's new to the team, so he can't really focus to the voice comms. But I think he's progressing or getting better at that.
And what are you doing to help Gate, if anything, right now? Are you kind of letting him do his own thing?
게이 선수한테 어떤 조언해 주시는지.
그러니까 게이트가 약간 신인으로서 많이 부담감 느끼고 실수하는 것에 대해서 막 되게 막 스트레스 받고 그럴까봐 나도 처음에 엄청 못했고 지금 못해도 상관없으니까 그냥 앞으로 똑같은 실수하지 말라 이런 식으로 부담감을 많이 줄여주고 있어요.
So he has a lot of pressure on his back as he's new to the team. So I tell him that I also went through the same thing when I joined the team, and I'm always trying to be encouraging.
Always good to have that big brother around. Final question, Rush. Counter Logic Gaming next week. A very strong team. They've gotten themselves a pass so they can watch you play and the other teams now to be even stronger. How do you feel about the matchup versus Counter Logic Gaming in the semifinals?
그러니까 CLG전에서 사실 되게 오늘 기분이 좋은 게 상대 쪽에서 리신 니달리를 계속 밴해줘서 제 리신 니달리가 얼마나 강력한지 보여주지 않아서 CLG가 더 무서워할 것 같아요.
So this game was really good that the other team constantly banned my Nidalee and Lee Sin. So I can show to CLG how strong my Nidalee and Lee Sin are. So hopefully that'll affect their pick and ban.
Well, congratulations on the win and best of luck continuing on in the playoffs. Now we're going to throw it back to the analyst desk to break down the rest of the day.
We will go to them in a second. We're going to talk with these guys real quick, though, as these guys are great analysts as well, so you're not entirely wrong. Tell me about your final thoughts on how Impulse Dignitas played, as we are going to eventually send it over to Dash, too.
Yeah, well, looking forward for Team Impulse as they move up in the playoffs, teams have to be thinking about what they're going to do to answer this much map control. Impact over Gamsu had a whole bunch of influence on the early stages of the game, even with the teleport plus the Shen ultimate. I'm very curious to see what Zion will run into this Shen, because he can run Olaf straight into the Shen, and I feel like he'll be able to keep up the pressure there and take away a lot of the cross-map plays that Impulse were going for, and force Impulse into more diverse strategies, so they have to show more than they've showed here today.
Yeah, and even though these games were close within the game, Team Impulse really never had to adapt to anything. So the amount of scouting that CLG can get on them is very minimal. It excites me for that series, because even going back to the spring, when we're saying, can Rush adapt to this new meta, it looked like he could in the quarterfinal matchup. He crushed with Cinderhulk Rek'Sai and Cinderhulk Vi. We're thinking everything was golden. Then they collapsed in the semifinals. So they also have to prove to themselves when they get challenged.
And personally, I'm actually very excited for the bottom lane matchup in next week's match because when Apollo got Kog'Maw, he missed out on a single kill. That was a rush solo kill in the end game. 96% kill participation, highest damage in the game, both times on that Kog'Maw. Up against Doublelift, who's one of the best AD carries in North America and has been for a very long time. I think that's, oddly enough, a very big matchup for
It's
that
actually
round.
a pretty good point because a lot of people are saying, oh, Apollo only plays Sivir. That's why he always has this great kill participant. That's why he always has, all the assists and everything. Because Sivir, all you have to do is pop your ultimate. But he did this on Kog'Maw, so impressive.
All right, so an impressive game by Team Impulse, 3-0 for both of our LCS series today. And to wrap up our day's coverage, let's throw it over to the guys on the analyst desk.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll do some looking forward in just a minute ourselves. I do want to do a recap of this series, though. Get your guys' thoughts, as they just did, on how this series played out for both teams.
Well, I feel like it was just mostly pure pressure of the bot lane, leave top alone, leave mid alone, and just sit bot lane with your Shen pressure, and Dig had no answers to it. 3 games in a row, Shen just constantly TPing bot lane, ulting bot lane, goes back to lane, does the exact same thing, and is unpunished. Even in the very late game, Gangplank cannot punish the Shen, he just runs away.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same as games 1 and 2. They just seemed paralyzed, like they weren't doing anything. They were slowly just losing the game, rolling over. They tried some things.
Well, they did adjust, so that's the thing. Yeah. It's not that they didn't try anything.
No,
they brought out the Gangplank. They went with the AP Gangplank.
I like the Gangplank.
Yeah, they brought out the AP Kog'Maw mid, taking that away, trying to go late. Unfortunately, the lead was just too big.
It's still the Shen is just stopping you from making any aggressive moves in the bot lane, and they're not going towards the Shen. But even if they did, Rush has such great synergy with Impact that he can call if he thinks somebody's up there, and he'd be out there in an instant. So it was really just testing parts of Dignitas' composition and their players, and they just didn't seem up to the task all 3 games.
All right, well, we'll look forward to that CLG series in just a moment. There was one man that stood out from today's action and grabbed our Player of the Series honors from Team Impulse's top lane. It's Impact. Now, he showed up on Shen, and regardless of the lane matchup, continued to be a global presence and created opportunities for his team everywhere.
I mean, there's not much to say. This is how you play Shen. Instead of using the ultimate defensively, which I don't think he really did many times. Like, I'm sure he did it a couple times because 3 games of Shen.
There's like a lost team
most
fight.
of the ults were just used for somebody to go into somewhere. Like, okay, dive. Like, set the play on the bot lane. Shen just goes in constantly. And
you were mentioning during game the fact that every single one of his ults netted a positive in some way. Whether it ended up just being a turret take, a kill, whatever it was, they were always like proactive ults that the team was using to gain advantages.
And I think it's just a testament to how practiced the Shen is, because we saw him lane into the Gnar twice, and Gamsu did misplay it here and there, but he played the Shen lanes very well, whether it was against Gangplank, Tristana, Corki, Gnar. He was laning excellently in all of those games, and Shen's laning phase is his weakest part, and he bypassed it excellently.
Yep, exactly. Able to lane against the AD carries, almost killed Lucian at one point, forced a flash by himself. And the way that he's able to keep his cooldowns, know that I'm going to go top with this, and I'm going to come back with the TP because the lane will be pushed right at the time that we're done with this fight. So just really good presence of mind all across the map and awareness there on his Shen. And that's something you should be banning in the future.
Well, I was going to say, funnily enough, though, the threat of his Maokai was enough to keep the Shen on the table, right? So that's, when you talk about looking forward with that Lee Sin, Nidalee ban and the Maokai, you got to be, who are you giving up, right, to let that Shen onto the ban list?
Yeah, I feel more comfortable playing different things, more variant things into a Maokai than I do a Shen.
Okay.
Just because Shen gets advantages from going to other lanes, and he can do it more frequently.
Right. Well, we'll see if other teams decide to switch it up when it comes to playing against that Shen. We're going to pull up the bracket and see how it's filling out. Team Impulse have secured their spot in the semifinal and will face off against number 2 seed Counterlogic Gaming next week. That means that Team Dignitas' postseason is over, and they have lost their shot at Worlds for this year. Tomorrow, we'll be able to add the results of our second quarterfinal, 4th seed Gravity versus the defending champions, TSM. That coverage will begin immediately following the conclusion of the European quarterfinal series between Unicorns of Love and Roccat. That gets underway at 8 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central European Summer Time. Now, I do want to take a moment to look ahead to those series. Both the one tomorrow here in NA, which is between Gravity and TSM. Let's start there. Do we think Gravity, as they dropped from that first place slot to 4th rather drastically there at the end of the split, are they going to show up and give TSM a run for their money?
Yes. I think so.
I don't know.
Granted, they did fall off towards the end quite hard, but I do think that's maybe a little bit of the winning fumes getting to their head and getting a little cocky on there. But they have enough time to prepare and realize that they got to go back to what they were doing in the middle of the split. You know, they're playing pretty well with the vision control. The Sightstone Nidalee, quite liked it.
Sightstone Nidalee.
And TSM was struggling as well a lot. So I think that if both teams try to get back to the form that they had achieved in this split, Gravity was at a higher form.
All right, so yeah, returning back to form, Gravity nets higher.
I feel, though, that TSM has been preparing a lot for this matchup. They're actually just taking a good hard look at Gravity. Think of the times that they've matched up against each other. Keen played an Urgot in the mid. Bjergsen immediately picks it up in solo queue, not just knowing how to play against it, but play it himself. Then next time he plays the Urgot, he goes 0-9 against him. So Bjergsen comes out in the better. Then a Jarvan gets played into his AP Ezreal. Now Bjergsen is spamming Jarvan in solo queue, learning how to play that champion and play against it. And I feel like the edge that Gravity has had in the mid lane, the one where they're saying, oh, he has this counter pick where Keen can get the advantage on you there, they're not even going to get it in Champion Select because they are blue side 4 times, I believe. So TSM...
Three times.
3 times blue side. In a best of 3, you have to lose 3 times.
Right. Yep. Oh, we'll see. That series will prove to be very interesting. Now, you know, keying off of today's matchup, Tip going up against CLG. Thoughts on that matchup? As Tip didn't really, we mentioned multiple times, didn't really have to show a whole lot of strategy, you know, to get through this best of 5. Or, diverse strategies is what I mean. They showed strategy, not very many of them.
I am really looking forward to that one, specifically because I know for a fact that Zion can punish somebody that's just going to constantly leave lane. So he's going to be able to take the tower and take a pick that can really bully a lane, such as the Olaf, the Fizz, the Gnar, and play it a little bit better. And who knows what other picks are out there that can just be full-on lane bullies. I mean, Riven, we know he can play Riven. Is he going to pull it out
Still waiting on that one.
Waiting on that one.
One day.
Come on, Zion.
Or more Gangplank.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Gangplank.
But also, it's going to be CLG. Do they have to show a new strategy? Because they've just been plugging and playing different champions that do the same thing. So over time, I want to see how that series develops because there's going to be a meta inside that series. I assume Shen will be contested at some point, and then who has the counter to who. So that red side, blue side is really going to mean a lot in that series.
Yeah, a lot of excitement still to come, to be sure. Now, as promised earlier in the show, we're going to put Zyrene in the hot seat to field some of your questions, and we have got a couple of doozies. I hope you brought your A game. You ready?
I hope so.
You look terrified. All right, our first comes from Seizure Puppy. I have 2 weddings to attend this weekend. Can you give me some tips on how to light up the dance floor?
2 weddings. First off, congratulations to both of your friends. So when it comes to dancing, I don't know a whole lot about it. I actually just kind of flail around and find the least awkward feeling sensation.
Okay.
But I know that you should move your feet, move your hips, and move your shoulders and arms. Get this all moving.
So move your body. You should move.
But that's the thing is a lot of people stay stiff and they don't move things.
Okay.
So people are like, that guy can move. Yes, because you are in fact moving. So do that. Do not stand still. Do not pin your arms against your sides. That's the worst thing in the world to do. So yes.
It's got to be fluid is what you're saying.
Feet, hips, shoulders, and arms.
Fluidity. I like it. I like it. What about you, Crumbzz? You fancy yourself a dancer?
Oh, I like dancing.
Oh, there you have it. Do you have any, have any tips?
Well, personally, I'm not the kind of person that would just dance by myself.
Okay.
So I wouldn't know.
Oh, also.
Zyrene's always off in the corner having his own private dance party.
I was off in the corner for that.
You
they
really
put me
were.
In the corner for
you
that.
were just like but it didn't matter to you. Didn't matter to you.
Yeah. Other thing too is haters gonna hate. So just do your own thing. Don't worry about it.
There you go. Confidence is key. Next up, Rakashak says, we see the meta go through cycles. What should we expect next on the road to Worlds?
I think we're actually seeing a lot of development in terms of top lane getting TP priority with jungle synergy. And as this new patch that'll be coming out that favors juggernauts, bruisers in the top lane, and making sure that they can actually just destroy their opponent. Like the whole concept of a juggernaut is they do a lot of damage and they're tanky, but they don't have that many gap closers. So they're a destructive force when they make it to you.
Right.
But I feel like that is going to be a little overtuned when it first happens. See what happens if it gets patched in time for Worlds. I know the new Hydra item and these things that are on the horizon seem very powerful. Darius, Garen, all these different changes coming out. So as they get tuned, I think that's going to start coming into the meta. And if you can dominate a top laner, you get TP priority.
I think if there is one thing we can expect for Worlds, it's Orianna and Corki being the best 2 picks.
As always.
No doubt.
As always,
Put your money
without
on
fail, it will return to Orianna and
It might
Corki.
actually. Sivers getting a little hit, so Corki, I mean, perfectly balanced champion. He never gets touched. He's good.
I know, right?
Yeah,
He's a solid champion. All right, next up we have Mike Wazowski. He says, which player do you think has had the most surprising performance this split, positive or negative?
I'll actually do both.
Okay.
So for positive, I'm actually going to say Phoenix here. Because this is a guy that they barely made playoffs with Liquid, and then he came out and he started being the Phoenix that everybody was talking about in scrims. And now he seems like #1, #2 mid laner in NA. That's a huge improvement there, so I'm very surprised by Phoenix's performance carrying Team Liquid a bit. Person that I'm negatively surprised by is Trashy. I watched this guy all throughout Challenger. I thought he was going to be a really good jungler when he came in, had a little bit of a break, visa issues, came back, and then he just didn't seem like himself all throughout. He was not applying pressure, and he really fell off and just abandoned his jungle style.
Anyone that's particularly surprised you, Crumbzz?
Rush, to be honest. Just seeing a solo queue player and just being able to consistently, we're always talking about, can he adapt? Can he adapt? Yeah, I find that he has been able to adapt constantly, and the ability, the resilience to just always pick Lee Sin. I think it's a great pick, and it's just a confident pick. You need to be good at the champion. You need to know what to do, and he does it every time.
Yeah, there's almost something really cool about the fact that he can be stubborn in the Lee Sin pick, right? He has adapted in other areas,
I like it.
but he can also just be like, no, I'm going to continue to play this champion that I like. I don't care what the meta says. I'm going to play this champion. I'm going to kick your ass with it.
Ding, ding.
Yeah, right? All right, next up we have Battle Tutorial. It says, which of the other casters or pro players would you bring with you on a deserted island?
Would I bring with me?
Yes.
Oh, I wouldn't bring anybody because that's just mean. Why would I take you to a desert island? If I liked you, I wouldn't take you with me.
Okay, so you're going to choose someone you dislike?
Yeah, I would take Dash.
I quit.
No.
I'm done.
I probably actually would take you because I know that you're extremely fit. You'd be able to climb trees, get me coconuts and stuff like that.
So I'd be your errand boy? I'm your servant?
No, he's a leader. He's a leader, and he would do this for his underlings, right? He would do it for his desk.
Oh my God,
you're
not making a very good case for it.
I know.
It sounds like this could be a lot of work if I come. I don't know if I
He
want
wants you as his coconut boy. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah,
Nobody ever said
Christ.
being on a desert island was fun.
That's true. No one ever did that. Next up, at Not Riot Twiff says, what can a jungler do to get back into the game when he's being heavily counter-jungled? I feel like this is going to be a question both of you can answer.
Yeah, I actually got some advice from Crumbzz because my original advice was ward up, make sure that you are contacting your laners and saying, if this guy shows up, then we're going to be able to collapse on him. Prime them for the opportunity. Don't be like, oh my God, he's here, and then pinging them in the moment. You have to prime them, ward your entrances, ward a side of your jungle, and make sure that it's safe.
Yeah, and another part about it was that as soon as you're starting to get counter jungle and you know that you cannot fight the other guy, just leave. Go do something else. Because if you just stick around, he's getting the experience, he's getting the gold, and you're just sitting there watching.
Yep.
Like, you're doing nothing. So either you go to his side of the jungle because you know he's not there. There's not enough time to do all 4 sides of the map to actually get...
Something's available.
Yeah, something's available.
And the worst thing to do is to let it happen. Because when that happens, you're being pressured. Apply pressure to the pressure, or else you're slowly bleeding out over time. If he's on your right side of the jungle, go to his left side, go to his top side, go to the opposite side of him, and ward up there. Get out, clear your left side. Then you know where his movements are, keep track on him, and just avoid him for a bit, gank some lanes, see what you can do.
I think it's just kind of a key principle in League of Legends that if pressure is being implied in one area by a team, that means that there is something else available, right?
Yeah.
You have to concede something to apply pressure something else. So it's your job as the person being pressured to find that thing.
It's very interesting because the pressure is you either hit them head to head and beat them in a pressure battle, or you go around them and you make sure it's like, okay, we're taking dragon, well, we're going to middle, right? Those types of things, and recognizing that as a shot caller is very key, especially in the moment when you have the pressure on.
All right, and finally, at Renegade Crumbzz asks, well, do you want to take this one maybe?
Yeah, Zyrene, I was going to ask, who do you think is the better actor and rapper between Ludacris and Ice Cube? Both have seemed to have a very
illustrious career
in both children's movies and rapping. So what's your take on it?
Oh, man. I'm going to go Ice Cube on this one.
Why?
Oh.
Because I know him more. Like, I know Ludacris
from... You're friends with the Ice Cube?
Do you know him from his...
he's in my freezer. You know, I use ice cubes all the time. No, I'm more familiar with Ice Cube than I am Ludacris. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not a big rap fan, so I can't answer this question with great expertise in that. But in terms of better actor, It's still probably
You're
going
gonna
to
go
Ice Cube.
Yeah, Crumbzz.
Yeah.
You posed the question, so I must assume that you have a belief when it comes to this.
Oh, well, personally, I would side more towards Ludacris as opposed to Ice Cube. You know, I think that a large part of his career came from the NWE days, but Ludacris now is more of an entrepreneur as well, which doesn't fall into the category of actor or rapper, but the hits that he had with Snoop Dogg back in the day really are the things that solidified him.
So do you think it is that his rapping career kind of which part of it is his acting career, his rapping career is what actually puts him over the edge?
It's both that really.
Really?
The intertwining of both.
I like it. Okay. Well, we're getting into the weeds with that one. Thank you, both of you, for taking the time to answer these questions. You know, that is going to do it for our show today. We, of course, want to thank you, Crumbzz, for joining us on the analyst desk and sharing all of your insight.
Special thanks from Riv for filling in for him.
Yeah, special thanks to Riv. Riv was a little terrified that he was going to have to be on the desk all day. Now for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.